Hello fellow Yeti hunters, thanks for watching episode 1. Hope you enjoyed this next bunch as much as you enjoyed that one. Thanks for watching, don't forget like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Here we go. This one's called The Warning. A woman was driving home one night after a weekend break visiting friends. Halfway through the journey, sometime after midnight, a very heavy storm begins just as she notices she's almost out of petrol. She looks through the rain hitting the windscreen, and in the glare of her headlights she sees a sign for a petrol station and pulls off the road a few hundred yards later to fill up her car. The place is obviously open but deserted, run down and pretty old looking. She thinks about driving on to the next petrol station, but worried she might run out of petrol, she decides to stop and just fill up as quickly as possible. As she pulls in, a tall, older man with a badly scarred face comes limping through the rain and up to her car. He fills up the tank for her, and the girl rolls down the window just enough to hand him her payment card, which he grabs and runs back inside to process the payment. The scarred man hobbles back out and tells her she will have to come inside because her card was declined, and he hurries back inside without allowing her to respond. She doesn't really want to go inside and considers driving off without paying, as she's feeling increasingly unnerved by the man. However, she decides to go in very quickly, take care of the bill and leave. When she gets inside, the man grabs her arm and tries to talk to her. His voice is rough and difficult to understand, as she thinks he may have had his voice damaged in whatever accident caused his obvious injuries. The man gets increasingly excited and holds on to her tighter and tighter. The woman becomes frantic and in the struggle finally manages to free himself from his tight grip. She runs back to the car, starts the engine and floors the accelerator, leaving the petrol station as quickly as possible. She sees the old man through her back window, screaming and gesturing for her to come back, but terrified, she keeps driving. She turns on the radio to help her relax and hears something move behind her. She adjusts the rearview mirror, just as a man covered in blood appears in the back seat holding an axe. The old scarred man at the petrol station had only been trying to warn her, but she wouldn't listen. One gloomy autumn evening, my mum and dad went out, leaving me home alone. I had a lot of homework to do, so I spent the whole evening sitting at a desk in my bedroom. My parents left the house around 6 o'clock. While I was doing my homework, I put on my headphones and listened to loud music. There was a big storm that night and my desk was facing the window, so I could see outside. I could see the rain and the lightning. My parents got back around 11 p.m. When I saw their car drive up, I took off the headphones. As soon as my mum opened the front door and came inside, I heard her shout my name. "What on earth has happened in here?" she demanded in an angry voice. Totally confused, I ran downstairs. My mum was standing in the hallway with a furious look on her face. She pointed at the floor and said, "Was this you?" I looked down and saw that the carpet was covered in muddy footprints. I've got no idea how those got there," I said. "I spent the whole night at my desk doing my homework." I watched as the look on her face changed from anger to confusion, and then to fear. We both realised it at the same time. Someone else must have been in the house. We followed the trail of footprints, trying to make sense of the whole situation. They started at the back door, which we usually left unlocked. Then we noticed something else. Sure, the footprints started at the back door, but there was no trail of footprints leaving through the back door. All of a sudden we hear something. A loud pounding noise that echoed through the house. Then the sound of the front door being wrenched open and slammed shut again. Wham! We all ran into the garage and locked the door behind us. My mum took out her mobile phone and called the police. "Please come quickly," she shouted. "Someone's in our house." After what seemed like hours, a police car arrived with 2 officers, a male and female. One officer stayed with us in the garage while his partner went through the house, searching it room by room. When she came back, the female officer told us that there was no one else in the house and it was safe to go back in. As we were all breathing a sigh of relief, she asked, "Whose bedroom is it upstairs on the left?" My parents looked at me. "It's mine," I told the officer. She asked us to follow her. As we walked through the house, we could see the trail of muddy footprints leading from the back door, through the living room, through the hallway, up the stairs, into my parents' bedroom and then towards my room. They stopped at my doorway. The female officer pointed at my door, which had been open the whole night. Scrawled on it in black marker was the following: 8:47, I see you. 8:53, you forgot to lock the back door. 8:59, you seem focused. 9:24, turn around. 9:47, turn around. 10:15, look at me. 10:37, look at me. 10:49, look at me. For more than 2 hours, someone had been standing in my doorway watching me. To this day, I still shudder to think what would have happened if I'd turned around. I don't know about you, but I remember being tucked into bed every night by my mum or dad when I was young. Thankfully, the following story isn't one of my own. Steve and his 5-year-old son finished their hot chocolate and headed upstairs as it was the son's bedtime. Steve recounts the following. I begin tucking him into bed and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed, please." I look underneath just for his amusement and to make him feel better, but on lifting the sheet, I see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering, shaking and whispering, "Daddy, there's someone on my bed." This one's called Phone Alone. Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realised my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table where we were sitting, at the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered. They gave out a low, raspy giggle, then hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and went home. I went upstairs and found my phone laying on the bedside cabinet, right where I left it. The Decorator. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the DIY duties while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every damn wall and ceiling in the house. I don't know if you've ever done it, but removing it is brutal, although oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to the skin when you're peeling from sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of the peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it tears. The really weird thing I noticed was that under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date scrawled on the wall. Eventually, curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The date they disappeared matched the date under the wallpaper. The next day I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with the dates to match. Naturally, I notified the police, who sent out 2 officers and the crime scene team. I overheard one of the crime scene forensics team say, "Yep, it's human." I turned around and said, "Human? What's human?" To which they replied, "Miss, where is the rest of the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing."